Say hi. Do it like a church lady back at the sanctuary. Hi. How you been this week?
I'm tired.
The old Lord knows everybody's been a little tart lately.
Well, Norma Ray, I was just thinking that, your crackers were just a little less than toasted, darling.
Ooh. 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 You have to come at me that hot.
Oh.
Goodness.
What was that, trying to freeze butter in a hot skillet?
You leave me alone. It was applicable
To the football game?
to the football game. It's like trying to freeze butter in a hot skillet. I said that out loud.
You did. It was like the most southern thing I'd ever heard come out of your mouth. I about died.
Oh, goodness. Well, let's say hi.
Okay.
And me getting through one of these without laughing is like trying to freeze butter in a hot skillet. That's just not the place you do that activity.
Because your crackers are just a little less than toasted.
In 3, 2.
Hi.
Fuck. All right, let's try this again. In 3, 2.
I didn't have to throw anything at you the last video.
No.
Pointed. I said almost. Be still your beating heart? What?
You heard that, people. She likes throwing things at me. It's on the internet now.
Not on the internet now.
It can be on the internet.
You're a glutton for punishment.
So?
You'd be happy.
I am happy.
Because I throw things at you. Because you're a glutton for punishment.
Hi. I'm Hawk.
And I'm Hartlee.
And we are here to talk about Book 5 of The Wheel of Time.
The next book in the endless saga that is my TBR pile.
It is not endless. There's only 14 of them.
On my TBR pile?
No, just of...
Oh, it's just like, your expectations on my TBR pile are like 20 books long.
Yes. I only seek to further enrich your life through story. If anything, a person should be well read.
I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt.
We are not quite halfway through our Wheel of Time journey together.
Yes, because book 7 would be.
Yes. Ish. Yes. But you are more than ready for I have a gold star down here too. Sorry. You are more than ready for the TV show releasing here soon. Just something we've never really talked about on the channel, but a thing that I am looking very much forward to. And
It comes out in November, yeah?
yeah, November. So we got 2 months.
I think they're covering, what, a book a season? Thereabouts?
I've heard different things. And one thing I really haven't done is go on their Twitter page, because like the people, Amazon and the crew putting on the Wheel of Time is actually doing a pretty good job of keeping people updated on and helping manage expectations, which is just crazy. Like, I like it.
I mean,
But-
they have a pretty big, rabid
fan base.
Yeah.
But they're actually keeping people informed, and I want to say, I don't know if it's a book a season. It might be 2 a season, because I think that they're not planning for 14 seasons.
Are they not?
No, I think they're planning for like 8.
I don't even know how you would put.
Oh, stuff's gonna get cut out, and character arcs are not gonna be there, and like they're gonna trim a lot off of it. Like we all knew it was gonna happen, and hopefully, and Rafe Judkins seems to be the Q&As that I've watched seems to be the kind of showrunner that really wants to stay true to the core of the story, and put as much stuff in that really matters that he can. We all know that he's going to have to make sacrifices, and we're not all going to like those sacrifices. But
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Fires of Heaven.
Fires of Heaven.
Book 5 in the Wheel of Time.
Correct.
And I have a question for you.
You usually do.
Mm-hmm. Is Jordan's writing still holding that kind of standard he set in the first 3 books, now that the world is getting ever bigger and ever bigger?
You're asking if he still sounds like Tolkien, right?
That's part of it. But does it feel different, or does it just feel like the world is getting bigger? Because we kind of covered that Tolkien one last video.
I don't feel like the world got bigger in this book.
Okay.
Because the places they were talking about, even though we hadn't been there yet, they had been mentioned. I kind of already knew little things about them, so I was just learning more. So it didn't feel like it was getting bigger. It felt like it was getting deeper, if that distinction makes any sense.
Makes sense.
Like less, it wasn't really wider. It was just more in depth or detailed.
Okay.
The only thing I would say would be counter to that statement is the very, very end, when I assume is Fail's dad,
Davram Bashir,
came in at the end.
Marshal General of Saldea.
Right.
Saldea. Jeez.
So when he came in and spoke with Rand, that's when it felt like there's more out there that I don't quite know, that I don't quite understand, because those are countries that have just been kind of glossed.
Like we know Fail's from Saldea.
Right, but I don't really know anything about Saldea. Whereas, like, I knew things already about some of the southern countries.
Yeah. Yeah, like the only Borderlanders you've seen are
the Shienarans.
Are the Shienarans and Lan.
Yes.
But
I mean, Lan, he's the only one.
There's
Malkiri, is that right?
Malkiri, yeah. There's more of them. They're just scattered, because that's what happens when a nation falls. But Lan was raised in Shinar, so he kind of, that Shienarn bleeds through his Malkiri-ness.
Sure.
And Aglamar, really kind of looks at him very fatherly,
Yeah.
There's a thing there. And it's beautiful and amazing. And I don't cry, you cry. But yeah, like so
deeper but not wider, except for that little bit at the end, because we were mostly revisiting places that we had already been. Like the story was focused primarily, except for the girls, and their traveling was focused, at least for Rand, in places we had already been, which was nice because you got the juxtaposition of, he had been in Kyrian before. So we knew what that looked like through his eyes then, and we know what it looks like through his eyes now, after it's been sieged and the whole Four Gate's been burned to the ground.
Yeah, well, a lot's happened in Kyrian,
It's been kind of bubbling there in the background. They've been mentioning this,
a king's died.
This battle for the...
Yeah, there was a battle for the crown, and then the Shido show up.
Yeah, I got things to say about that.
But
Also, like, damn it, Tom, he caused a whole bunch of problems.
well, they shouldn't have touched the girl.
That's right.
So, since we're kind of breaking into the character theme already, like, what are your favorite characters up to?
Oh, you know, because I already told you. Don't gloat. Unattractive. Matt is my favorite in this one.
Okay. Would you care to elaborate?
No, but I will. He's very interesting. His actions versus what he keeps insisting on in his head are in such opposition that and the fact that he has these other lives kind of floating around up there, with all of the battle knowledge that comes with those other lives, I think there's even more to that than we're getting right now.
Okay.
Because he seems to. There was one part where he was talking, giving strategy to Lan, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he says something, and he goes, when he's lamenting that, like, he opened his mouth and he said all of these things. He said, you know, that it was from a particular life. Like, he just remembered which particular life that had come from.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be of some significance, like some import of the specific life that he was speaking of. I'm not sure quite what the reveal is there, but it just makes me think there's more to the story than even we have gotten so far, or that I even suspect so far with him. You know, he's not just the gambler with the good luck anymore. Like, he's more now.
Yeah. Well,
and I find him vastly interesting.
He is very easy to watch. You know, between you know, his new shiny spear and his new shiny medallion and his new far to rise my girlfriend.
Oh, who tries to kill him and he has to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually, I saw that one coming. That one didn't surprise me.
And, you know, his newfound memories. And, like, there's just so much new happening to Matt that he's kind of sorting through in this way that makes it seem like he's trying to do everything but sort through. So it makes him interesting to watch.
He doth protest too much.
Yeah. I would say my favorite character, and this is kind of where for me, it's not a character as much as it's characters. It's where really the beginning of a beautiful and tragic relationship starts, and that's with Rand and the Maidens. Like, every interaction with Rand and the Maidens is either hilarious because they are not even on the same page, they're not in the same book, but they're really trying to understand each other, you know, and trying to you know, make an effort to make room for the others in their day to day. Like,
yeah,
Rand understands that he owes something to the Maidens. He doesn't quite understand what that is, but he owes something to the Maidens, and the Maidens just absolutely, you know, whether it's by Jiet-To or whether it's by sisterly affection, you know, they all just bend over backwards to try to facilitate their presence in his life. to protect him, being the first son of a maiden brought back to the maidens. Like it's a big deal to them, you know?
Yeah.
And like, forget the Kara Karn stuff, forget the Dragon Reborn stuff. Like, he's their little brother, and they're gonna sort him out. And it's hilarious. And it's tragic. And like, it's just real. It's really real. And for me, it's the kind of catalyst that really starts to pull Rand back into humanity. Because you've seen him repeatedly in these books do the fantastical, do what others can't do. Right?
Well, he's always questioning if there's anything left of himself, if he can look at anyone and not see how he can use them.
Yeah.
And yet what he struggles the most with when dealing with the maidens is not using them. Mm-hmm. And they want to be respected and used as the weapon that they are.
Oh yeah. Well, they want to stay true to who they are.
And so they're kind of the one spot where he doesn't immediately look at them and want to use them for his own, to further his own agenda.
Oh yeah. And you know, and I want to say I saw it in one of the community threads on Facebook or something like that. The Wheel of Time communities, I absolutely refuse to let you join because spoilers.
Yes.
And it said, you know, God gave man woman to humble him. But apparently the Dragon Reborn needed a whole nation. Like, because they do. They humble him at almost every gesture, every word. Like even if he's putting on the Dragon Reborn pants and being the Dragon Reborn in public.
Yeah.
You know, and the maidens are being maidens. They're standing around. They're doing their job. As soon as that picture frame gets removed from that situation, they're just like, you know, the Kara Karn goes outside without covering his head. He'll get a burn. Like, you make sure you drink enough water.
Here's some soup.
Yeah, have you eaten today yet? Like, they just... And even when he calls them out in front of others, like, and tries to shame them, they're like, you'll do what I tell you to because I'm the Kara Karn. They're like, even the Kara Karn's not a wetlander king, Rand al'Thor. Like... And so they humble him at almost every step, and it's awesome and hilarious because it's not just one woman humbling a man in a story. That's what you usually get. You know, a woman humbles a man, a man humbles a woman. You know, and they act on each other. Where Rand has this giant group of armed women that are capable of killing most people everywhere, and they are the instrument for his humility. And it's hilarious.
I think there is a distinctor. When they're patronizing him, they will call him the Kara Karn. Mm-hmm. And when they are just outright like done with his shit, they'll call him Rand al'Thor.
Yeah. Or when they're just being like super helpful. Like, you know, when they're making their comments about Aviendha. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, need to comb her hair. Like, you know, they're like patting his head and pampering him. It's like, he shouldn't be that forward. Like this you really get to see, and it's probably a little bit more novel for me because I'm a man, and we usually don't get to hear what women think we should do. That's counsel you keep to yourself. But when it does happen, you know, you're sitting with a couple of friends who are ladies, and they know you're having this issue talking to this other girl, and they want to give advice because they care for you and they want you to be happy. And they're telling you all these things that you need to go do. They would probably work, but you don't understand the slightest bit of it because you got dumb man brain. You know, and you're just like, well, can't I just hit her over the head and drag her to my cave? Like it. They're like, no, you got to brush her hair. You know, your face is almost too pretty. We need to put a scar on it. Like, So yeah, Rand and the Maidens.
I don't mind the maidens. Some of the other women opinion on men's intelligence irks me. Because a lot of problems arise from lack of communication, and that lack of communication comes from them thinking that men are too stupid to understand. And so they keep things from them, or they don't tell them things, or they try to manipulate them or push them around in different directions. And it bugs me.
Yeah. Well,
like the wise women, Egwene a lot, which incidentally I would probably say she's my least favorite character in this book. Moraine does it, although she gets a little better in this book about it.
You got to think, the setting for its time was kind of unique for fantasy novels, because a lot of fantasy is very testosterone driven. Most of them are written by dudes about dudes doing dudely things. And for me, this was one of the first fantasy books that I read where, even in the country where you start out, Andor has always had queens. It's a matriarchal society. The people that hold the most power in the Westlands are the Aes Sedai, and it's a group of women. And even in the town you start out in, there is a village council filled with elder males and a women's circle filled with elder women, and they kind of work in tandem.
They do, but there's an arrogance and a disdain from women in positions of power towards men in general in the book. And what I don't enjoy is that strong women are somehow synonymous with, that kind of disdainful sniff, like arrogance. Like you can't be strong without being a shrew. And I'm not a super fan of that, because you can.
Yeah, well...
The best one that I've seen is Elaine. And even she pushes the limit for me sometimes.
She pushes the limit, but you forget that Elaine was brought up in a household, like through her formative years, she had Gareth Bryn around most of the time. And that was the one man on the face of the planet that more gays couldn't bulldoze. So she got to see an example of a man who was strong, intelligent, capable, and couldn't be bullied, and was reasonable. Like, Gareth Bryn's kind of a unicorn as far as dudes go.
Yeah.
But, in most...
Although he's given Swan Sancho 10 kinds of hell, and I'm loving it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm loving it.
So, Elaine's seen what a man can be capable of if he's held to a certain standard. And she always tries to hold men to that standard. Like, spoilers, almost, out of my mouth just then. I caught myself. But you'll see that. Like, Elaine will hold men up and expect them to rise to here. Where Nynaeve, in her estimation, until she met Lan, the only man that she ever met that had any sense was Rand's dad, and he didn't have much of it.
Yeah.
Like, all the other village council, members were just babbling buttheads. And, of course, Nynaeve's young. She hadn't had that experience. Like, you can see with the other women of the village council that they know how to approach their men. Even though they think they need to keep things from them because it's just better. It's a wife's duty. Like, you get to see some of those walls. I'll say, spoiler enough, you get to see some of those walls break a little bit.
I just feel like if they would tell Rand things, he wouldn't have to make decisions based on a lack of information. Like, he's struggling already, and they're keeping little tidbits from him because they think they're smarter than everyone else around them, and it's irksome.
Oh, I understand.
Like, I respect Moraine's choice to not tell him about what she saw in Ruidion. Like, that one makes sense to me. I get that one. He would try to change it. She had seen all of the outcomes. This was the best possible thing. Like, I was upset that happened, but it made sense in my head. And to be quite frank, I don't think that's the end of it. Like, I definitely don't think that Lanfear is dead. So you want to write that down as a prediction that I have.
Okay.
She might not be at full strength, but I don't think she's dead. If she is, then that was anticlimactic. As climactic as it was.
So, Egwene's your least favorite.
Yeah, she's my least favorite. She's my least favorite because I think she's just a little bit full of herself. I think she's learned a little bit more than everybody else. And she spent an entire book, not this book, but one of the previous books, struggling with the fact that she was Nynaeve's apprentice and Nynaeve was a superior to her, and now she kind of feels like she's an equal. And then she got the upper hand with Nynaeve once, and now she's being a little bit of a bitch about it, in my opinion. But yeah, she's my least favorite. I also find the villains to be flat in this book. Like Couladin and even Ravine.
Yeah.
Like the only one that I even find to be interesting is Moghedien.
Moghedien.
Did I say that right? Because we don't ever hear from Couladin really in this book. Like, we didn't hear dialogue come out of his mouth in this entire book. He's just the villain. Like, he's doing bad things and we're kind of trailing along behind him, and we know that Mat killed him, but like, he's just a plot device in my opinion.
Well, like I remember when you're reading through it and you were like I just got to the part where like the battle's over, Mat killed Couladin, I'm getting pretty close to the end, and I was thinking,
no, you didn't.
No,
you're not. Yeah, I thought I was done.
That you don't get actual words from Couladin's kind of a clue that like this isn't the main bad guy.
Right, but even Ravine, you don't really get words from him either. Like, you haven't gotten anything from him since Morghese left.
You get some stuff, and Ravine's kind of but that's Ravine's character. Ravine is the pretty boy that is just naturally good at things, and things just work out for him, and he set his plans in motion, and now his plans are set, so he doesn't have to worry about things. Like, if somebody comes around, I'll mess him up, and then someone comes around and screamed his name to the heavens.
I did reread the paragraph where all of the lightning came, and it was talking about how Asmodean, is that right? Asmodean was like nothing but like a char, and like Mat was on his back with his boots over here, and like Avienda's skin didn't feel like skin. And I reread that paragraph 3 times. I'm like, did they just kill everyone? Because that's not okay.
Did they just red wedding me?
Yeah. I was like, that can't stick, because
Ravine!
Yeah.
Balefire.
Yeah. No, that's a what did surprise me was that he was actually going into the world of dreams.
Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah, that word. The world of dreams. That he had been there before when he took the Stone of Tyr. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so then for Nynaeve to show up there, that was at least original thought pattern that I hadn't predicted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I did see Moraine's death coming from like 6 miles off. But I still was irked when it went down.
Well, my least favorite character in this book, and as much as I say that she's my least favorite character, like at as the whole story goes, she is like one of my favorite characters. Like her whole arc is one of my favorites, but like the little actions she makes to make that whole arc just irritate the ever living fire out of me.
You're gonna say Nynaeve again?
I'm gonna say Nynaeve again.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, this one was hard for me to find someone that really just got under my skin, because there really wasn't one. Like, yeah, Egwene irritated me every now and again. Yeah, Nynaeve irritated me every now and again. You know, Elaine's airhead bit at the beginning.
Oh my god,
was rough.
Her little like 5-minute crush on Tom, just no.
And
I'm glad that was quick.
Yeah. So I Nynaeve, if she would just use that brain she says she has, she would have far less problems than she does.
I mean, she definitely ate some crow and got some comeuppance in this one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But then she turned into a little bitch baby, and that was a little...
Well...
Like, I get she felt bad about the whole Brigitte thing, but like...
Well, like I said,
I kind of like that Brigitte called her out. She was just like, oh, I thought that you were tough. Like, I don't know who you are now, but I don't like it, and I don't want to be your friend when you're being like this.
Well, Nynaeve gets a little bit of comeuppance, and, you know, when they make it back to some Aes Sedai to take charge of them, you know, she gets a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And then, you know...
Then she gets a Forsaken on a leash?
Well, yeah. So...
She's just like, I can't get past my own mental block.
Why
Why
did she do all that potential growth to just catch a Forsaken?
Why did she throw all that fit about that freaking Adam thing?
Adam?
Yeah. I read it as like Adam in my head like the whole time. But yeah, she throws 10 kinds of fuss about that because Elaine's been studying it.
And then she
uses it.
Nah.
Which, I mean, I guess she's used it as a punishment before. But
Yeah.
I think in this case, I don't feel as good about it. Like when she used it before, it felt like justice. It felt like her being strong enough to be dark for a minute to dole out justice. And in this, it feels like fear. It feels like she's using it because she's not strong and she's not, gonna face what she needs to face. She's just gonna use this as a crutch after throwing a big fit about it.
I mean...
And sniffing.
So, yeah. Nynaeve is unfortunately on the bottom of the list for me on this book.
I honestly am not a super fan of any of the girls. Maybe Avienda is probably the one that bugs me the least.
Well, I almost spoilered again. I need you.
Yes, I think she's pregnant.
Avienda?
Yeah.
Pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because either that or they're referencing, the wise ones are just referencing the fact that like they know that her and Rand banged. Because she said one of them, Bear or Amis or one of them was like, she's been more successful than you know, and that their whole little like backdoor like sly plan, I think, is even though it hasn't been outright said, is to make him have a child so that he cares more about destroying the nation. In my opinion.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, I was just giving my prediction there.
So
as a distraction for all your almost spoilers.
Yeah. Favorite moment?
Matt's POV for the Battle of Kyrian.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's my favorite. Because he's just like, there's an ambush coming, but I'm leaving. And then he's like, but I'm just going to warn them that there's an ambush over the hill. And And so then he goes down and he takes charge and he's just like, well, this is my plan, so I should stick around and make sure that like everything's okay. You know, and 16 battles and 2 days later, now we have the Band of the Red Hand.
Yep.
And I kind of appreciate that Rand just finally reaches the point. Because he's been so kind of chill, like, if you want to leave, leave. If you want to leave, leave. Like, if you can leave, leave. Like, it's okay, I understand, like, I get it. And then he finally just reaches the point where he's just like, no, you're staying. Like, I need you, and I need all of that battle knowledge rolling around in your head, and you're going to stay and do what you're told.
Blood and ashes.
Yeah.
And he runs again. But, yeah, no, it's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's... like right before the Battle of Kyrian, like, you know, Matt has his little snippet in the tent. You're like, oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. And then the battle starts and he's off his horse looking through the pine. I'm like, oh, it's here. It's here. It's here. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I still am not pleased that it's my favorite or that Matt's my favorite.
My favorite moment, and again, this one kind of comes back to, you know, like, yes, I do get excited when the Battle of Kyrian comes up because I'm a sick, twisted individual. But like when Moraine swears to Rand, and there's just 3 minutes of honesty that flows between the two. You know, like she's just like like, I need you to listen to me. I need you to let me like help you. I need you to do this. I understand I don't have the power to make you do it, but like if I have to swear to follow every word that you say, I'll do it. And that just Rand just sitting there like and then he kind of regresses a little bit where he's like, you know, Moraine isn't Aes Sedai. She is very intelligent. She's been helping me this entire time, even though I haven't liked the way she does it. You know, and they're like, Rand's just like, you could be a trial sometime. She's like, me? She's like, do you have any idea how hard it is to try to wrangle down the Dragon Reborn? He's just like, I know. Like, there's 3 minutes of where there's just almost complete honesty between the two. And then they both kind of, like, while they exist in this new pact, they both kind of button everything back up again.
Well, he's testing her. He's constantly testing her.
So to see that, just that little bit of honesty.
Yeah.
Where you can really actually see how these two characters feel about each other. You know? And, you know, because that stress finally cracks down on both of them. You know? And while, yes, that's probably a calculated move on Moraine's part,
I think it's a Hail Mary pass.
Yeah. Like,
I think she knows that the end is coming, and this is her last chance to at least try and do what she's devoted her entire life to doing.
Yeah.
Which is to help Rand.
Yeah.
And if that means she's got to swallow her considerable pride to do it, like, she will.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, in Rand, has been pushing her and pushing her and pushing her and pushing her and pushing her. Like, I'm surprised Lan hadn't stabbed him 5 times over, you know.
Speaking of Lan, I love Lan. Lan's my man, right? But I'm mad at him right now.
I can't imagine why you would be mad at Lan.
I'm mad at him right now. He's doing that stupid tropey boy thing where he's just like, ugh, like he's been doing it since the beginning. Oh, I'm not good for you, so let me push you away. But then he was doing a little bit better about it. You know, he was confessing that there were feelings, and now he's just like, tell her I found somebody else. I know it'll come back around. She really doesn't deserve him because I hate her right now too. But like,
well, while I'll agree with you that
I'm upset with him right now.
While I'll agree with you that that move isn't the best, and giving that advice to Rand is a bit counterproductive.
That is putting it mildly.
I understand the sentiment of wanting to protect your loved ones from the darkness that is you.
Self-sacrificing, moronic bullshit.
You gonna be okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Well, let's get to the rating. How many hearts?
3.
3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. It's not my favorite.
Okay.
It feels a little boggy to me. It feels like there was maybe 3 or 4 things in the whole book that like were relevant. Again, I found the villains to be flat. I think most of the interesting things happened after the Battle of Gagrian. I could have done without the whole circus thing. Like, I feel like all of that could have been summed up in maybe one little section, like where you got Brigitte, like that, the dream, the whole circus traveling thing just loses me. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that I would have trimmed out had I been the one writing it. So yeah, 3.
I'm also giving it a 3.
Okay.
Most of it's because I'm not going to say not relevant to the story. I'm just going to say there's a lot of things that happen in a vacuum. You know, like the story's kind of while there are 2 main plots going on, you know, you have the Rand, Matt, Egwene plot over here, you have the Nynaeve, Lane plot going on over here.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that kind of came together was at the end when Nynaeve and Elaine got to where Min and Swan are, and that's
yeah. And then a bunch of little things are happening in between, but there's this like a lot had happened in books 1 through 4. Like a lot has happened through books 1 through 4, right?
Right.
And this is kind of that. And here's the rest of the story. You get what I'm saying? So he's having to reset, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the first quarter of the book is probably just I find to be redundancies, but
like, yeah, he's having to reset. He's having to make those things that were talked about in the first 4 books that are going to be, you know, cornerstones of how magic works or cornerstones of how society works are concrete now, like, you know, making sure all those things line up and simultaneously starting new storylines, right? Because this thing just does nothing but get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm telling you, like it kind of slowly does this, you know, through books 3 and 4 kind of opens and 5 opens a little bit, and then it just.
Yeah, I'm entering, but according to you, I'm entering the slog. Yeah,
You are, and I did not choose to call it the slog. I can understand why it's called the slog. And people will define it in different books. Like some say 6 through 8, some say 7 through 9, some they say 6 through 10. Like it's not a firm. It's not a firm. It's these books. But that and it's a thing I enjoy as a reader. But you're about to get a lot. There's just a lot of information. A lot of it is going to be small things happening and people talking about it, and far off things happening and people talking about it, and you know, characters you know are meeting other characters that you know and them talking about it. Like, so while I find it vastly interesting because all it does is create a more detailed picture for my brain to wrap around. Some people, this is where a lot of people dipped out for a little while and maybe came back to it later, you know?
Yeah.
And even me now, if like I when I start a Wheel of Time read, I listen to it typically, and I hit book. It either happens in 6, 7, 8, or 8, where I put it down for a week or two, listen to something else, and then come back and finish it.
Mm.
And when I get back into it, I always rip right through to the end. But like, again, it's a big series. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of hours to listen to on an audio book.
Yeah.
And so like at that point, I'm just like, okay, like I need to take a little break, you know, let my brain walk away from it for a couple of weeks. And when I come back, it's always like I'll light a fire under me and it's a zip through all the way to the end. So yeah, you're about to hit the slog, but I wouldn't let that be be said in too heavy of a negative connotation.
I mean, my only concern is that like I've struggled through each one of the books already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there will be certain points where I can't turn the pages fast enough.
Yeah.
Like I got, you know, into a little bit of a like downswing after the Battle of Kyrian, but like once it kind of swung back up the other side, it was I couldn't turn the pages fast enough. Like
Yeah.
I had other things to do. I had only allotted a certain amount of time to read that day, and I blew off plans to sit. You know, I put off plans that to sit and read. So my concern is that these next books are going to be even tougher for me to get through when it's been taking me on average, even though like I read quickly, just because of motivation has been taking me a month to get through each book. So
I will break out the hot irons.
Okay, I might need it. For now, I think the next thing that we'll probably talk about is the YA book that I sent you to.
Yeah. That
So, Rebel of the
Sands.
Yeah. It's not quite very boring, but
No.
I thought I'd start you a little
ease me into it.
Yeah, start you a little nicer.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I've been enjoying it so far, but I should have it finished here pretty quick. But no. So that'll be coming up. I imagine we'll do keep talking about the Scarlet Letter. Like, is that going to be the thing we always talk about, shooting a video?
Yeah.
We never shoot a video for it.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah. So you got book 6, and I've got a little YA series. Yeah, I actually have a little series now. I get to make predictions on.
I'm excited for your
story.
predictions.
And I know we're gonna do more Shakespeare and stuff like that. Like,
I think are we doing Merchant of Venice or Midsummer's next?
I
don't know.
Whichever one. Yeah. So until then,
keep reading.
Keep reading. It is my pleasure to allow you to live in the world that you choose.
Reject reality and substitute my own.
So,
buttons on a coat.
I mean, it's better than a cow.
No one else will get.
Got it!
Nailed it.